First, let me say thank you, Marilyn, for giving me this opportunity to speak with you. I first want to welcome you to the family reunion. Okay, I want to welcome you to the family reunion because we don't need a political conversation or we don't need a presentation. We need to gather around the tree and talk about what we need to do for our children. So I want to welcome you to the family reunion. I am certainly a bit nervous this morning. You know, I'm home when I'm in South Park. The only thing I haven't had in years was some timid chans, and so I had to take that off the diet. I want to be here a little longer, but I welcome you to South Park, a place that I truly love, and I always will start by telling you when you come down St. Lo, Iwo Jima, or Burma, you just went through the war zone, which means all those streets are named after former battles. So when you come into South Park, it's a historical location because it is the place where the World War II veterans were able to buy a home for $1 years ago and move into this area. It is the first suburban area in Houston outside of the Loop. You recognize we're outside of 610, so we're in the suburbs. If you didn't know it, you're not in the inner city anymore. You might see a cow patch, a horse going down the street, anything in a few moments. Don't get disturbed. That's just how we do it in South Park. All right, so welcome again to the family reunion, and I've got three assignments, and I think the sign still says Baptist outside. Does it still say Baptist, Pastor? Okay, that means we might go a little longer than we intended to. And so I knew I had a little latitude. I want to thank my brother, his father, for allowing us to assemble here today for this family reunion because I want to make sure we go out of here energized. I met a young lady the other day. We learn something when you open your ears. And she came into my office. Her name was Miss Smith, I think it was. It was Miss Smith. She works, is it Smalls? It's Miss Smalls came into my office, and she works with CPS. And the only thing I ever knew about CPS is they come to take your children if you're not acting right. But she didn't come to take my children. She said, Mr. Allen, I work with the faith-based relationships as it pertains to CPS. I want to make that real clear. The faith-based aspect of CPS is here with us today. We don't want her to leave without getting her due. One of my children that I was able to be a part of the leadership at Jones when she was a student is Miss Brandi Brown, who works with the Freedom Schools, and she is a go-getter beyond measure. Left South Park, went to SMU, married a good gentleman, so she has $3 or $4. She's not asking for anything as he goes. She's done a great job. She and her family have labored hard in the community. And I really appreciate her, so I'm going to try to do my very best to be impressive as she sits back and watches me this day. Brandi, would you raise your hand? And please don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. Please do not misunderstand. I have to introduce my work wife. I don't know if you all believe in that kind of stuff. I have a wife at home, but I have a work wife that's in the room with me today, and it's not a joke. You need good people to tell you when you need to go left or right sometime. And so Ms. Monique Johnson, who is our volunteers and public schools coordinator for the Houston Independent School District, my work wife, Monique Johnson, is sitting right here. So I will be on my best behavior. Now, I really want to talk briefly about, I'm going to give you some announcements, then I'm going to give you this information. One, this Sunday at Butler Stadium, we're having a shopping opportunity for our parents affected by Hurricane Harvey. And we'll be giving out all the items are new clothing, furniture, and everything of that nature for citywide. So if you have anybody in your church still in need from Hurricane Harvey, make sure they're at Butler Stadium Sunday between 10 and 3, a shopping opportunity for all of our citizens who are affected by Harvey. I started with that because Harvey put us behind the curve, and I apologize to Ms. Lee. But Harvey turned our department from what we normally do into a department where we needed to help families. We weren't able to get out as much as we wanted to continue to build the church and school relationships. But I'm so glad that we're back in the business one more time. I wish Ms. Lee would have brought the maps to show you where we have church and school relationships right now. And we intend to fill that map up. I think she has them here. When you see it, we can celebrate because we started about 3 years in this journey and we didn't have many dots on the wall. But when we look at it now, we're able to look at Spring Branch, we're able to look at Fort Bend, we're able to look in Humble, we're able to look all over Houston, and we are recognizing that our churches are taking on the challenge. Taking on the challenge. I'm going to start out with my conceptual topic says, if not us, who? If not us, who? And if it's not us, who? Then I want you to realize, and I'm speaking now on behalf of the Houston Independent School District, we don't have all of the answers. We are very good at academia. I'm going to be real honest with you. We can teach your child to read. We can teach your child to write. We can teach your child how to computate mathematics. We can even tell your child something that happened a long time ago called social studies and history. But we are not the best at serving that child in the capacity where it conceptually looks like love. Okay? So when we ask our church to come on side of us, we ask them to bring in the love of Christ. We don't ask them to proselytize Christ. We don't ask them to invite them into a new religious experience, but we do ask them to bring an element that we all can agree on, and that is the conceptual idea of I love you. Why is not the reason, but I love you. I've come to join on with your campus, and we're going to shape it in the form of a program, whether we call it mentorship, whether we call it beautification, whether we call it whatever we call it. The central theme of that situation has to be a child that can identify something called love. And when a child is able to identify the Christ in the individuals who have come into that building, they are one day going to ask the question, why do you do what you do? Why are you here? I see you and others who come from your church to be with us on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis, but I don't see others do that. Well, why do you do that? And that would be a challenging point for you. I know you would want to say, you know, it's because I love Jesus, and then I'll have to say, could you please meet me in the office, because we can't do that kind of thing. But we want to be the hands and the feet that bring in the element that is missing. I'm not telling you that teachers don't love children, because they truly do. As I look at my good friend, the principal over there at the early college, and I see my good brother at Booker T. Washington, I know they love children. But if they don't get those test scores up, they won't be the principals there anymore. Do you believe what I'm saying to you? So they need us to come on side of them to bring in an element that is so very important. And that is that not only are we in the school, but the community is in the school with us. The community is inside the school. The church that's around the corner from my house is inside the school, even though we don't go to that church. We only see that church. But now that I see the members of the church, I may have a greater understanding of what church is all about. Yes. I want you to look at the research. I don't want to frighten you. I don't want you to become afraid. But let's call this, there's a new element on the planet called the millennials. Everybody heard of this thing called the millennials? I'm a baby boomer, so I don't know who comes up with these names. But they're saying that the millennials will go to church through technology. I don't know who says this or where, but they're saying they will attend through technology, and therefore the pews could look empty, but many could be watching. They're saying that the millennials are the most astute and more knowledgeable of theology than any generation that has come on, because they have read it, but they have not experienced it. So our children have to experience physical contact with individuals who what? Bring in the love of Christ. Are you with me? Yeah. Marilyn, are we all right on time? I know I'm preaching because, you know, I'm an old preacher too. I know it. I know. Don't. Let me get back on script, Marilyn. I apologize. But I want to say to you, when you open your doors, now I'm talking to HISD, do not be afraid of the relationships. And what our pastors and members of our churches have difficulty with is we normally like to see the principal, and the principal cannot put you on their schedule. I just told you the principal was strapped, didn't I? So we always ask the school leaders to find that person inside the school that can nurture the church-school relationship. Does not have to be a member of the church, but you find that person inside the school that says, I want to be the point person for bringing in not one church, we'll work side by side, 2 churches, side by side, 3 churches, because the idea is to serve these children. Now, we understand that they're hungry. They're hungry. And HISD has now, they're serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner in HISD. Okay? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner for children. Then there are some churches that are sending children home on the weekend with food. They're partnering with the food bank. They're getting backpacks because we recognize that first piece, we can deal with the nutritional piece. And as we deal with the nutritional piece, the children are now eating something on a regular basis, right? And then we recognize, I'm going to speak right now into the black family in this room. Every statistic in education in the nation, black children are on the bottom. Now, if that doesn't sting your heart, I didn't say HISD, I didn't say Fort Bend, I said every statistic in education in the nation, black children are on the bottom. So either we are inferior or something is wrong. Is that right? Something is wrong. And I'm here to tell you that what's missing is the element we started with, and that's somebody to bring in the love. Are you with me now? All right, Marilyn, how much I have? About one more minute. If you don't come, we're going to get more of the same. If you don't act now, we're going to have the same level of frustration. If you leave and say, let somebody else do it, we'll have to have another meeting. Because we got to keep searching for those. And that's why we have these meetings over and over and over. We've probably had upwards of 50 of these meetings in order to get this work done. And if we can just find one, if we can leave here today and we are able to establish one more relationship, we know God is pleased with us and we really have done our job. So we're going to continue to do this over and over and over again. But it is my hope, it is my prayer that when we leave here today that we have 100% activation from this room. Because I believe whenever you come to South Park and you didn't come scared because you came down some roads that didn't look like the one you live on, and you had to go through a few bumps and you got to get your tires rotated when you leave because there are some potholes in the road, that you don't navigate yourself here unless you really have a purpose and a calling in life. Do you get me? So I know if you came to South Park today to hear Maryland, and I want to take 32 seconds because Loving Houston is the perfect name. I said, Maryland, you know, we working all outside of Houston. How are we going to sell this to people who don't live in Houston? We say Loving Houston, but we in Spring, Texas. How are we going to say Loving Houston and we in Humble, Texas? How are we going to say Loving Houston and we in the Woodlands? She said, Mr. Allen, just say Loving Houston and let's keep right on going. I'm here to tell you that the churches around Houston are moving faster than the churches in Houston. So I love you, folk, and I welcome you here today. Keep your ears open. Keep your feet ready to move. And when Marilyn finishes with you today, find your place in God's kingdom. Touch a child's life. That is my child, Brandi Brown. And every time I see her, I fall in love with her. Again, thank you for time well spent. An announcement, I know you may not have heard that the Houston Independent School District is experiencing a $200 million shortfall. I don't know, we don't tell too many people that, but I hope you understand that. And that we have 10 of our schools in danger of closing. This really should not be a silent conversation for us, okay? With that being said, I got a call from the board president, and she asked me to put a emergency ministers meeting together. And so I got the date yesterday. It will be March the 1st at the Hattie Mae White building at 9:30. Even if you're not a minister, tell your minister to be present. It is imperative that we do everything we can do right now to save our schools. I'm asking you to pray for our schools. Okay? Then I'm asking you to show up at HISD at 9:30 on the 1st of March. If you don't know, I serve on the Texas State Board of Education. I have had repeated conversations with the Commissioner of Education about this situation, and I do believe in my heart that we will get the relief for this year, but that will not fix the problem. That will not fix the problem. So I'm asking us not only to come out for the agitation phase to get the relief, but we need the opportunity to put the strategies in place. Because once we go in this time, we're not coming out. Because the door is wide open for us to come in because everybody needs us. But once we go in and we start working with our children, we're not coming out. And I just want you to please tell your pastor, associate pastor, somebody representing your church, the custodian, whomever it is, be present on March 1st, Hattie Mae White Building, 9:30. Thank you.